Hi, I'm Phil Constantine, and this is Travels with Phil. And today we're going to talk about Calvin Coolidge, the 30th President of the United States, who was born on the 4th of July. You can see on the left Warren G. Harding, who was president. Calvin there in the middle, just taking off his hat, was the vice president. When Warren died of a heart attack, he became president of the United States, again, the 30th one. These are some old silent movies taken in either 1920 or 1924. Now, I went up to visit his old home up in Plymouth Notch in Vermont. And these are some silent movies. They were still making silent movies back then. That's all they were making back then. And you can see what it looked like. Again, this was around 1920 or 24, one or the other. Now, this is a kind of smock that the farmers up there often would wear. They would have these over their clothes so they could go out and do, work with the cows, etc., without getting their regular clothes too messed up. Now, he was a real man of the field, or man of the land. He did all of this stuff. I mean, these may have been publicity photos, but this is the kind of stuff he did. I liked pitchforks better than golf clubs. He was definitely a country boy. He was born in this farm, and he lived there and would often go back during his time off. They called it the Summer White House. He would come up here during the summers when he was president in this old post office and store that his family used to run. And in fact, he was born in the back part of this building. But they called the upstairs the Summer White House because he would come into what was really a dance hall up at the top part of the building. And there you can see him sitting at his desk doing a little bit of work with one of his secretaries. And you'll notice the unusual patterns there on the back wall. Well, this is what it looks like now. Let's go to a video I shot when I was there.
This is upstairs at the general store, which the Coolidges, his parents once owned. This is what they called the Summer White House for a short period of time. He came up here during the summer, and some of his aides came in, so they started calling it the Summer White House. But it was also used for recreational stuff, and I like this, the Plymouth Old-Time Dance Orchestra, and literally on the wall here. They show the list of types of songs they would play in the order that they would play them in. So you could have your dance card ready. For those of you too young to remember that, a young lady would have a card of which dances. And so if there were 20 dances, she'd have a card with 20 lines in it.
Well, let's join the tour down in the back part.
So this is what you're going to imagine they lived in when they ran the store. We've had to restructure this building so it was not kept like this since 1872 when the president was born here. So anything that looks old as far as the actual structure is not the original. However, all the furniture is. This was all equipment and furniture that they had when they lived here. That when they moved, they took across, and no one decided to throw it out, so it was all kept for posterity. The president himself was born in the bed we have here on July 4th, 1872. Mother and father were running the store, and you can see the little corridor that leads back to the store. They only lived here till the president was 4, and then they got enough money so that they could afford something bigger, and they moved across the street after they bought the house. So you see a lot of the furniture, whoever was running the store, this was all part of the rental. So you could use this, I think they used it for storage. At one point they opened up a little cafe here again because of the crowds that were coming. Once he took the oath of office in the house across the street, the place became overnight famous. And people would just come out of curiosity to see what was going on here. Well, nothing was going on. I mean,
Indeed, there wasn't much. It was a very small town. All right, this is the home across the street that they moved to.
and then once they actually cut in here, if you step in, you'll see the continuity occurs because it opens into a tool shed, finally a wood shed, and then onto the main house, so you don't have to go outside at all.
And that's very important during the cold winter months in Vermont.
Yeah, stalls are there. They would have kept hay overhead, which they could then drop down as the horses were being fed. The saddle was one that the president used when he rode his horse. All this equipment and items were saved by the family, and specifically the housekeeper. She was, in many years, the only person who was living here. A particular carriage was made by the father. He worked with a carriage maker. It's not like he had innate ability, but he could be told how to make something, and that was the finished product.
This is a horse that John Kellogg of the cereal making company made for him because he loved
Travels with
horses
Phil
so much.
continues. This is what they call the shed bedroom in the Coolidge second house. And it says the woolen frock hanging on the wall belonged to Calvin Coolidge's grandfather. That's the kind of thing they wore during chores. Calvin Coolidge, president, or before he was president, made the quilt on the bed when he was 10 years old. This tumbling blocks pattern is a particularly challenged design. Young Calvin also made the miniature chest of drawers on the work table. So that little bitty chest right there, Calvin Coolidge. And so he was a handy kind of guy. Of course, you grew up in this kind of community, this kind of world, you would. And they also said that at some point in here, his father was a constable on occasion who would keep prisoners in here, so they would, somewhere in here there's a pair of handcuffs, and they'd handcuff them to the bed if they couldn't get them into the jail on time. But Coolidge made that bedspread, or quilt. All right, still in Calvin Coolidge's home, and this is a two-hole privy. The two-hole privy was the only sanitary facility in the house until 1932. Here are the Sears and Roebuck and Seed catalogs often found in such areas. Homemade tallow candles were also kept here for emergency use. Now, I tell you about if you don't understand the reference there, that was used instead of toilet paper. Anybody could get a Sears catalog and use the pages as a toilet paper. Two holes there, that means it was an indoor outhouse. Yeah. Calvin Coolidge's toilet as a young man. This was their, well, I guess it was their summer room, or the family sitting room. And when Harding died, Calvin Coolidge happened to be up here, so his father, Colonel John Coolidge, Notary Republic, administered the oath of office, and this is where Calvin Coolidge was sworn in as the President of the United States. And you can see that right here.
And they've got glass around a lot of the rooms in his various dwellings and offices.
Humble beginnings. That's one of the things about his grave. Very simple, but that was simple and unadorned would be appropriate for Calvin Coolidge, at least in what's known about him publicly. All right, Travels with Phil continues. This is Calvin Coolidge's tool shed, family tool shed, and his too. Lots of old tools. Oh, it looks like an old wasp nest up there in the corner, but lots of old tools and augers up there. And these are for sawing trees. Usually once you got them down, that's what you cut them into smaller pieces with. The old joke, have you got Prince Albert in a can? Well, there he is, a whole bunch of Prince Alberts in a can.
Tobacco.
For those of you who are old enough to remember that. And a bunch of other tools hanging on the walls. One of the people that was just in here that knows more about him than I do is just noting that the calendar, that's the year he died. That's when he died. He died January 5th, 1933. So they left the calendar on the date when he died. So how fitting. Calvin Coolidge. His tool shed. Travels with Phil continues.
And indeed, across the street is the church they went to. And his pew is marked by an American flag there on the left-hand side. So again, this is a small community, maybe a couple dozen buildings. This is the grave area, the cemetery, and that long row up there. Those are all the Coolidges. Calvin is born here with a very simple gravestone. He actually was there when the Indian Citizenship Act was passed in 1924. So there's a weird picture of him wearing a headdress. He was made a member of the tribe. This is him and his wife Grace and another man. And Silent Cal, he was always told the story that somebody once said to him, I bet you I could get you to say at least 3 words. His response was, you lose. Whether it's apocryphal or not, he was definitely known as Silent Cal. So this has been a story about Calvin Coolidge. Thank you very much for watching. You can leave family-friendly language comments down below. And if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, just click the button over on the far right-hand side. You get updates on whenever new videos come out. Thanks for watching.